prepare to leave common sense and political correctness behind.
Welcome to Zamistan.
Love, lust, faith.
Well, it is Saturday evening. This is Bill Zam. Welcome to this week's edition of Surrounded by Idiots, also known as your escape to Zamistan. I don't know how long this show is going to be because I believe I'm coming down with a cold. I've been hacking and coughing the past couple of days, and now my nose feels like it has cotton balls stuck up it, and I'm starting to get a sore throat, which is never a good thing when you're attempting to mutter into a microphone like I do. Now, you know, I forgot to turn on the explicit light on the stream there. So that is yet one more thing that I just don't give a shit about. So those of you that are listening, please realize that tonight is once again going to be an adult-themed show. Those of you that are at the website, freedomtalkradio.net, may have noticed that there have been some substantial changes. That's right, we have completely and totally redesigned the website. And that is because of a couple of reasons. Very interesting couple of things. A little inside baseball stuff here about the internet. You have what are called DNS servers, or dynamic name servers. And they convert the numbers of the website. For instance, you've probably seen it in your own home network, like 192.1.1.100. Well, every website has a set of those numbers that is used to reach it. And the dynamic name servers convert what you type in English into those numbers, and you go to that website. We've had a problem with freedomtalkradio.net for some reason. It keeps going to srv-cam.com. That is exactly where the website is supposed to be, but it's not supposed to say that in the top browser bar. Unfortunately, it has, and I haven't been able to fix it, and my service provider hasn't been able to get to the bottom of it either. So I just created a new website and pointed freedomtalkradio.net to that, and it's taken me about 3 months to do this website. So I certainly hope that everybody likes the really cool graphics and the layout and presentation of the site. We've done a lot of testing on it, and I have actually emulated one of the top 5 websites in the world as far as the graphics and the layout and everything else goes. So it should be a wonderfully splendiferous time when you go there to visit the website and listen to our shows, freedomtalkradio.net. I say that because this show is going to be up on YouTube after I get done, provided, of course, YouTube and everybody else doesn't ban me from the internet, because, once again, I'm so pissed off I could scream. Plus, I'm getting a cold, so I really don't give a crap. Did you know that there is a new head for the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division? Debu Adbegbile. Adegbile. Adbile. That's what I'm going to call him. Debo Adbile. At any rate, it was 1981. 1981, a Black Panther by the name of Muma Abu Jamal shot a police officer, Daniel Faulkner. Police officer lay on the ground, begging for his life. And Abu Jamal walked up to him and shot him in the face with a gun. A heinous crime. A horrible crime. Well, this Debu Adbile, the new head of the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Injustice. He's the guy that defended the honor of Mr. Abu Jamal. He calls the United States a fascist state, and he's the head of the Civil Rights Department. You see, Daniel Faulkner's widow requested that she be able to speak at the Senate hearing where they were going over his credentials, what with calling the United States a fascist state, and other choice words that he has called this country over the years. And they said, no, you're not going to testify, Ms. Faulkner, because we don't do that. We're just going to go ahead and approve him. It is past the point of injustice, past the point of incredulity. It is past the point of asininity. It is, in fact, one of the biggest piles of shit that I've ever seen in my entire life. This guy calls the United States a fascist state, defended a fella that shot a police officer in the face, is now the head of the Civil Rights Department of the Department of Injustice. Unbelievable. I am absolutely stunned that something like that could happen in this country. However, there's more. You know what we fear? I'm sure that you fear the same thing that I fear. I fear it. I wake up every night. I don't sleep a lot at night, simply because I'm in so much damn pain. I wake up every 45 minutes, and I have to move around a little bit to help ease the pain so I can fall back asleep. And, of course, the medical community is completely unable to help me because they don't understand what is wrong, even though I have pointed out to them numerous times exactly what is wrong. They choose to ignore it, just like they have with everybody else with this particular condition. So I lay in bed, and I wake up every 45 damn minutes in so much pain, it's unbelievable. And I think to myself, what do we fear? Us Americans, normal, everyday people, the flyover country people, if you will, not the assholes on the east and west coast, the idiots out there, incidentally. This is the only show that is apparently endorsed by Rush Limbaugh.
How we are surrounded by sheer idiocy, no matter where we turn.
As you just heard. You fear it, and you don't even realize it. Most people do fear it. Think to yourself, what is the one worst thing that could happen to this country? No, it's not another terrorist attack, but it's similar. It's what's called a Reichstag fire. That's what launched Hitler on his little foray into world politics. The Reichstag fire, where he burned down their version of the Senate over there in Germany to start off World War II. That's what we fear. What we have, especially after reading this week's news, the various bits of news from the Super Bowl on, where that clown actually sat there across from Bill O'Reilly and said, there's no scandal at the FBI, everything's fine. This man, he's capable of anything, and I don't think any of us would put anything past him. He would do anything. He would do something, anything, to stay in power as long as possible, even if it means killing, even if it means more constitutional breaking. I mean, this guy is literally out of control. He is a wannabe dictator. He's constantly changing laws that were passed in the legislative branch of government. He just up and changes them any way he wants to. I'm going to tell you about another one of those in a minute. You think a Reichstag fire type of event can't happen here? It has already on multiple occasions, and it's still happening. What the hell do you think fundamental change means? What do you think that means? Fundamentally changing the United States. How would you change it? A country based on freedom, on Christian principles. How would you change it? Fundamentally change it means you turn it the opposite. An unfree country, not based on Christian principles. That's your fundamental change. What do you think he meant by getting even when he was giving those speeches in the 2012 election? You know, next week is your chance to get even. What do you think that meant? What do you think he's doing by actually changing laws legally passed by the legislative branch? Just like I said, all on his own. He just does it. I'm going to change it. The health care law. You know, the health care law is an abysmal failure, and he just keeps changing it. We're just going to, the employer mandate, we're just going to go ahead and delay that for a year. And you know what? You lost your insurance. We're going to go ahead and let you have your insurance back. No big deal. We're just going to go ahead and change the law. It's been happening here. These Reichstag fires, it's been happening here. Just look around you. Ask yourself this. There are mass murderers, mass rapists, evil, vile people on death row for 30 years. We joke about it. People on death row they live longer in death row than their victims live or lived. You have to ask yourself, why would they be in a rush to execute somebody that blew up a federal building? Why? Out in Oklahoma. People are sitting on death row for 30 years, and the guy that blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City, well, by golly, we got to put him to death less than a year after we've convicted him. What's up with that? Why? What type of information did he have? Was he acting alone? Do you think that type of an idiot would actually be able to do that? Did he have help planning it? Was it done for a nefarious reason besides some militia clown being off of his rocker? Who knows? We'll never know. They whacked him. Don't tell me a Reichstag fire can't happen here. It's already happened. Buildings being blown up, towers falling down, kids being shot. It's all for specific reasons, and you know it. Whether it be for reducing our freedoms by having something like metal detectors at all the buildings, or the formation of the TSA and the Department of Homeland Insecurity. Gun control. Now think about it. All of these school shootings and everything. Most of these things, they aren't national news. They're local news, maybe state news, regional news. They're not national news. Every time somebody, a kid makes a Pop-Tart in the shape of a gun, and it's national news. They're driving us toward it. You know it. You know it, and I know it. It's Reichstag moments. And don't tell me it can't happen here. And don't tell me that we're unique as a country. You know, we are a unique country. Nobody's ever tried this type of a form of government, this type of freedom before. It's unique in the history of the world, but we're not unique. We freely elected. In 2008, we freely elected. And don't get me started on the voter fraud crap either. Because that stuff, you know, a kid makes a Pop-Tart in the shape of a gun. That's national news. Yet, we heard hundreds of news stories in 2012 about how people went in to vote. And they press for Mitt Romney, and it pops up to Barack Obama. Press Mitt Romney, Barack Obama. Press Mitt Romney, goes back to Barack Obama. We heard dozens and dozens of stories that people freely admitted, yeah, I voted 10 times. I just kept going back and kept voting. That happened all over the place, and yet nobody covered it. But a kid makes a Pop-Tart in the shape of a gun, and that's a national goddamn emergency. We got to do something about this right away. We live in a country where every 4 years we elect a so-called president, and we have freely elected a power-mad dictator as president. And I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Never, ever trust a liberation theologist, and that's what this guy is. He is a liberation theologist. It doesn't matter about a constitution. We have a rogue leadership, changing laws, issuing rules that shut down industries like the coal industry. We have civil government agencies buying billions of rounds of ammunition. Only an idiot would think that we don't live under a dictatorship at this point. And even my just saying this puts me in danger. And I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that people like me, Savage, not Hannity, he's an idiot, Limbaugh, Tyrone X, he's a local broadcaster. He speaks his mind. We're all in danger. We live in a dictatorship. I firmly believe that, and I would invite anybody to try to dissuade me from that belief. Now, over there in the land of Israel, across the ocean, that's the people the Hitler tried to kill or wipe out during World War II. I don't know if you heard about them. The Israelis, the Jews. There's a little event. It's called the Blood Moons. There's several events that have happened the past few thousand years that have occurred when there have been 4 blood moons sequentially. One of them was when Maximilian Ferdinand, one of my ancestors, by the way, kicked the Jews out of Spain. There were 4 blood moons. During World War II, during the concentration camp era, there were 4 blood moons sequentially. During founding of Israel, I believe it was 1948, 4 blood moons sequentially. And this year, we have another 4 blood moons sequentially. Maybe this story has something to do with it. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just a pointer along the path of causality, if you will. A group of rabbis over there in Israel has sent a Wrath of God letter to Lurch Carey, the Department of Hate, Secretary of Hate, over there at the Department of Hate, that should make anyone shake in their boots. Sadly, Carey is so dense and so idiotic that he probably won't get it. He probably won't get what they're trying to tell him. And it's time for this.
How we are surrounded by sheer idiocy, no matter where we turn.
That's right. John the Lurch Carey is one of the idiots. In the letter, they said, here's a quote from it, "Your incessant efforts to expropriate integral parts of our holy land and hand them over to a boss's terrorist gang amount to a declaration of war against the creator and ruler of the universe. For God awarded the entire land of Israel to our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, in order that they bequeath it as an everlasting inheritance to their descendants, the Jewish people, until the end of all time," opens the rabbi letter. During drawing on Jewish history, the letter declares to Carey, John the Lurch Carey, the Secretary of Hate, "If you continue on this destructive path, you will ensure your everlasting disgrace in Jewish history for bringing calamity upon the Jewish people, like Nebuchadnezzar and Titus, who destroyed respectively the first and second great temples and the entire holy city of Jerusalem, who, by heavenly punishment, brought eventual disaster upon themselves too." Got that? The people that destroy Israel, whether it be now, whether you believe that they exist righteously or not, or in ancient times, the people that destroy Israel suffer the wrath of God, heavenly punishment. It's happened time and time again through history. And now John the Lurch Carey is attempting to do the same thing. And they continue in their the rabbi's letter, "By the power of the Holy Torah, we admonish you to cease immediately all efforts to achieve these disastrous agreements in order to avoid severe heavenly punishment for everyone involved." I'll remind you that this is the year of the 4 sequential blood moons. Now, Obama was a backbencher in the Illinois State Senate back there before he decided to become a U.S. Senator, serve one term, and then become president. The old, we don't know who the hell he is, but we're going to go ahead and elect him anyways because, hey, we'd like to live under a dictatorship with a tin pot dictator because we think it's cool. We think it would be really cool to have a dictator and just essentially screw up the entire history of the country. Anyways, he was a backbencher in the Illinois state legislature, and he voted against a bill. He voted against a bill in Illinois that would require medical care. Okay, now think about this. Medical care if a baby survives a botched abortion. In other words, if they have an abortion, okay, and I'm not saying anything against abortions. I'm not saying anything for abortions. Personally, I think they're an abomination against God, but hey, if you want to be an idiot, that's fine. You surround me, so I don't care. Okay. Doesn't matter if you have an abortion or not. The baby's alive. Okay. They were going to have a bill in Illinois that would say if that baby is alive after the abortion, you can't murder it. You have to try to keep it alive. He voted against it. He is a radical pro-unborn baby killing advocate. If it moves, kill it. And now that people aren't, quote-unquote, trapped in their jobs by health care, the biggest crock of horseshit I've heard in my life, besides the previous stories that I've told you about tonight. Right now, food stamps are all that stands between the masses and starvation. When the money runs out for the food stamps, what the hell do you think is going to happen? How long can they keep going down this path? People are... and this goes back to the election and freely electing a dictator. People are being paid in food stamps. They're being paid in lives, human lives, to vote for the slave masters running this crime syndicate and death cult, formerly known as the Democratic Party. That's what's going on. And that leads, that's actually a prelude, a segue into... another very interesting story that happened this week, and that it was the National Prayer Breakfast that the president attends and is typically given by a Republican and a Democrat representative of the people, or former representatives of the people, as a bipartisan event. So there's no politics going on there. And, of course, Obama gets up there and he starts talking about himself. Me, I, when I did this, I was like this, I had this, pretending he was a poor black child living in the lap of luxury in Hawaii, so poor that the church had to feed him. That must have been why he was on a full scholarship to college, by having to pay a dime for it. Poor my ass. At any rate, Obama said during the National Prayer Breakfast earlier this week that the Quran teaches tolerance and acceptance. Really? That must be why the Muslims are crucifying Christians and burning Christian churches in Egypt and Syria. That must be some of their tolerance that they preach there in their Muslim religion. Crucifying Christians. That's right, crucifixions are back. See, here are the sequential 4 blood moons. Did I mention that before? You know, what an American president should do in a case like this, where Christians are being burned out of their churches, being burned alive in their churches, being killed, being dragged out and crucified by these people, by these so-called human beings. What any American president should do is stop blathering and do this. Get on the old TV, or the shortwave, or the Voice of America, or however you want to do it. You can call John the Lurch Carey, the Secretary of the Department of Hate, into your office and tell him to pass the word that you lay one more hand on a Christian and do this to them, and we're going to bring down the wrath of God on you. Lock and load. Send the Marines in. Special Forces. I got an even better idea. Instead of using the Predator drones to shoot birthday parties and wedding parties in search of that one terrorist, why don't you circle these Christian churches in the Middle East where they're dragging Christians out and crucifying them, and lay a few hellfires on these bastards while they're doing that? Why don't you do that instead? Instead, he sits up there and he calls it the religion of peace and tolerance. And he sits there and he's sitting there talking about how he loves Jesus and God and how he's a Christian and everything. And I kept reminding myself, you know, his own words, he's saying he's a Christian because he's talking about Jesus and God and everything else. He doesn't go to church. When he did go to church, he went to a hate-filled congregation. We all know about that. Of course, nobody bothered to worry about that before we elected his ass. So by his own words, and he's a Christian. And I keep thinking to myself, you know what? It's perfectly okay for a Muslim to lie to the infidels if it achieves a purpose. Just something I thought I'd pass along. Not saying anything. Not accusing anybody of anything. Just mentioning it. They're allowed to lie if it achieves the end purpose. So what we have here is we have an American president who claims to be a Christian, not doing the honorable thing, protecting people. Instead, he's shooting up birthday parties and weddings with his little Predator drones. Incidentally, there was a fella out west, Wyoming, I think, maybe North Dakota. He was a wanted man. Something about taxes, I think. He was a farmer, actually. Farmer, rancher, something like that. And he was on the run. They were looking for him. And you probably haven't heard this, but they used a Predator drone to track him down right here in the United States. Used a Predator drone to track down a citizen of the United States on U.S. territory. Think about that. Think about that for a minute. Now, I'm going to finish up tonight's show. Now that I've got myself good and worked up, even though it doesn't sound like it, I am truly, my blood's boiling, actually. It's, there's blood percolating out of my ears right now. It's an awesome sight. My hands are shaking. I'm so pissed off about all this stuff. Here's something they did a couple of days ago. A dear leader and his gang of incompetent idiots. They did this while you were eating dinner or watching TV back on Wednesday of this past week. Do you know what they did? They changed another law. They unconstitutionally changed another law passed by the legislative branch of government. I'll let that soak in just for a second. He doesn't have the authority to do it. He's modifying existing laws. And guess what he did this time? He gave blanket immunity to individuals who have given limited aid to terrorists. Got that? People in Syria, Egypt, about anywhere, that have given material aid, limited material aid, to terrorists. They are letting them now come into the country unmolested. Blanket amnesty for them. Just change the law. Not allowed to come in the country Wednesday. Come on in. Of course, the Department of Lack of Homeland Security and John the Lurch Kerry issued a statement. Kerry said, "We hate America so much that we've decided to bring terrorists to the United States as fast as possible to make sure we destroy the white heterosexual America so we can start killing the infidels as soon as possible." That was John Kerry's statement there. Don't know if he actually said it or not, but he might as well have. And I've been on the air for about a half an hour, and I am just about fit to be tied. Every week this crap gets worse and worse. It's incredible. And, you know, the worst part is that myself, people that I know, people that I communicate with, people that I love, including all of you out there in the audience, by the way. You're all Americans. We're all in this together. We're all experiencing this decline of the United States into a dictatorship together. And for those of you that think to yourself, you know, Bill, listen, if you're not doing anything wrong, you don't have to worry about it. So just calm down, okay? If you're not doing anything wrong, nothing's going to happen. You'll be fine. They're only going after the lawless, okay? They're only going after the enemies of the state. And I'll remind you that you don't get to decide what you've done wrong. The government does. The government will decide if you have committed a crime. Not you, not your friends, not your family, not your attorney. The government will decide that. If they want to make you disappear, they're going to make you disappear. It's called the NDAA. And that's about the size of it. That's the shape of the country right now. You don't get to decide whether or not you're doing something wrong. If you're driving on the road and, you get stopped by the cops, have you done something wrong? The cop will tell you what you've done. You've been speeding. Changed lanes without a turn signal. I actually got a ticket for that once. Interesting story. I have a lot of friends that are police officers. Good friends of mine. All over the place. All over here in southeastern Michigan. In Ypsilanti, up in Gaylord, Ann Arbor, Saline, right here in Saline. I know a lot of these police officers. I've had a lot of adventures with these guys. I lived in Ypsilanti Township for many years, and we had some people across the street from us that were gangsters before they were gangsters, and they were doing things like running their car up and down the street with open headers, going racing. They had one of their cars rigged up to throw flames at people's houses. They'd literally sit out in the street with 30-foot flames shooting out the exhaust of their cars. They had that rigged up. Constant loud music, throwing things around, shooting guns. Right there in the township, shooting guns. You call the police, and all of a sudden the garage door would shut. All the lights would go off. The cops would come by. Nothing's going on. They'd go away, and 5 minutes later they'd be at it again. Obviously, they had a police scanner. Or somebody working in the police department, which I don't believe. But there were a couple of young bucks that had just got out of the academy. They were just on the police force in Ypsilanti Township, Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department. A couple of young guys. They came over to the house. They came over to the house in their street clothes in their own car. I said, "Look, dude, we know this is going on. You know what's going on. Our bosses know what's going on. We want to get this stopped. So here's what you're going to do. Here's my beeper number. This is in the mid-'90s, okay? It might have been a cell phone number. I think it was a cell phone number, actually. It's just after everybody started getting cell phones. And I said, when this stuff happens, call me on my cell phone, and we'll come out here. And sure enough, that night, the next night, they started doing all this stuff again, so I called them on a cell phone. While they're out there in the middle of the street with 30-foot flames shooting out the back of their cars, a patrol car eases up behind them and turns the lights on. Gave them a ticket, gave them a warning, gave them a good talking to. Didn't do any good. They kept doing the same thing. So these young cops, they parked down the street in an unmarked car. In the middle of the night, they came down and very kindly took the garbage of these scofflaws, whereupon they found the bags with cocaine residue in the garbage bags. And that was the last we saw of these scofflaws, because the owner of the house was told, unless you want to lose your house, get it confiscated. That's it. I, of course, have been on the wrong side of the law a couple of times. Not really on the wrong side of the law. In the mid-'80s, I bought the old police cruiser that the police chief in Belleville, Michigan, owned. And just reminiscing now, for those of you just joining us. I really got nothing else, and I'm trying to calm myself down. So, I'm telling some stories about some of the experiences that I've had. I bought the old police car from the police chief in Belleville, and he had the high-speed pursuit version of the Ford Crown Victoria. It had a 351 Cleveland in it, in a Crown Victoria, big block. Had the coolest carburetor ever made by any automobile company. It was called a variable Venturi. It would there were no holes in the carburetor. It was a carburetor, but there were no holes in it. and it had these slots that would slide open and close depending on how much you press the throttle. Well, this car had no acceleration whatsoever. It was meant for the highway speed. It had a 200 mile an hour speedometer in it. I had to work one Saturday morning. Right after I got the car, I had cop tires, cop wheels, cop windows, cop paint, cop lights on it, just like the Bluesmobile. It's a pretty cool car. And it was Saturday morning. It was about, like 7:45 in the morning on a Saturday. There was no cars on the road. It was dead empty. And I said, well, let's see how fast this thing would go. So, I get up. There's a long stretch of I-94 in Ypsilanti where it's just dead straight. And, 3 lanes wide, sometimes 4 lanes wide. So I got in the center lane, and let's see how fast it would go. Go 90, 95, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 145, 150. Doing about 155, 160. And I go over this rise, and over there by the off-ramp, there's 3 state police cars sitting there. I blew by them. The speedometer said 165. So I stopped and waited. Found out over the years it's the best thing to do. If the cops are going to catch you, just pull over and wait for them. I mean, what's the point of keep going and acting like I didn't do anything. Well, you did something. You were speeding. You didn't stop all the way. You see the cop coming after you, just pull over. They appreciate that. They don't have to turn the lights on, disrupt traffic and everything else. Just pull over in a parking lot and wait for the guy. So I pulled over. About 10 minutes later, it catches up to me. Took that long. I'd gotten that far down the road. And I knew most of the state cops. And he gets out, and he comes up to the car, and he goes, Bill? I said, how you doing? And he goes, how fast you were going? I said, yeah, 165. And he looks in the car, and he goes, I'll be damned, you got a 200 mile an hour speedometer in it. And I said, yeah. So he gave me a ticket for changing lanes without a turn signal. I was one of 3 people in the state of Michigan that got one of those that year. It was a minor fine, and he said, try to keep it below 200, will you? That was a very interesting morning. You're like, yeah, you got a 200 mile speedometer in the thing. But anyways, that's about it for tonight. I guess I've calmed myself down. I don't know what my stories have to do with the political intrigue I was talking about before, but, what the hell. I had time to kill. I don't have any guests, so we're lining up some more guests, but doing the website, redesigning the website has taken virtually all of my time. I've worked a good solid 3 months on this, folks, 8 hours a day, working on this, the new design for the website. Those of you that know how to design websites, you can see all the work that I put into it, so I hope everybody likes it. At any rate, my name's Bill Zam, and for those of you still listening, I'm going to play our great opening sequence once more, our brand new opening sequence that was just developed and made today.
Prepare to leave common sense and political correctness behind.
Welcome to Samistan.
I like that. I like that a lot. So, at any rate, my name is Bill Zam, and he's Rush Limbaugh.
How we are surrounded by sheer idiocy, no matter where we turn.
And we are collectively surrounded by idiots. Have a good weekend. Have a good week. I appreciate you guys showing up, and anybody that's bothered to listen to the show this far, you are to be highly commended. My name is Bill Zam. Have a good week, and I just pray to God I'm not getting a cold, because I get pissed off when I get a cold. Even more pissed off. At any rate, we'll see you next week. Don't forget to tune in for all the shows on the network throughout the week. Have a good night.